Allow me to remind you that an epidemic of unknown origin has already eradicated a few genuinely distinctive towns in the northern part of the country. The cause and circumstances of these tragic events remain uncertain. There is a lot that we cannot explain yet. It appears as though the plague has a mind of its own, as if it is driven by some irrepressible will. Why else has no one managed to fight it successfully? Why does it target the most precious aspects of our existence? The sand plague picks its victims fastidiously, and the same principle always draws it back to whoever tries to oppose it. Surprisingly, we've yet to hear a single word from the powers that be.
And with that, we are into it. Welcome all to Pathologic. I am once again the Philosopher, otherwise known as Rob.
And I'm the Poet, also known as Liz. Now, before we get into this, just a reminder for anyone who's worried that we're not going to finish Angel of Darkness. We are going to. We just decided it would be fun to play a few other things along the way as well. So we're not abandoning it. We did lose some save files, so we have to replay a bit of it, but you know, that happens.
Well, we also are not entirely sure when we're going to be starting to publish these. I mean, for the lore meisters out there, it has been a while since we've played, so I've completely forgotten the controls, what little grasp I had of them for Angel of Darkness. And we decided to go ahead and move on to our Purgatory game, which is Pathologic.
Do you want to explain for the people at home a little bit about it? Because you're the one who wanted to play this so bad.
Alright, so first off, for our Purgatory level of games, this is where we're looking at cult classics, indie titles, and smaller unknown pieces, trying to decide, okay, are these something that, like, we really should probably give more recognition to, or do they deserve to just fade into obscurity? A little theological wonkiness there. Obviously, if you're in purgatory, according to Catholic theology, you're getting to heaven. Just, it's going to be a while, and it's going to not exactly be a good wait. Anyway, so Pathologic first came across my senses when I really got into horror games. Oh, what was that, about 2-3 years ago?
I think so, yeah.
It is a cult classic by Russian developer Ice Pick Lodge. I picked it up super cheap on a Steam sale and fell in love with it. It is a weird game, as I'm sure you've already kind of gleaned from the introduction. We'll go ahead, get started with the new game, and I'll tell you a little bit more after the next introductory cutscene.
Alright, I look forward to it.
So, it's all about trickery to you? Wherever have you come from?
No. I detest trickery. But if we ourselves are to suffer deception, our hands are no longer tied. Where are we?
Well, the muscular contraction is there. Means you're already inside of him. This must be one of the ventricles, right here.
What a silly place. It's stuffed. So it's not real for now? I don't think it has started yet.
Does it matter what it's made of? It's definitely struggling. We need to perform Sectio Transversalis. Cut the wall. There's no other way out. What else is there to do?
I know what to do. Those who favor hard logic and direct action are bound to be misguided. Only a miracle can set us free without us having to destroy something. And I can do miracles. Just let me.
Will you please be quiet? You're a liar and a thief. Who is going to believe you when you keep lying to yourself? The truth is my shepherd. Whatever happens, I will find answers, and justice will be restored. I will perform the operation. Medica morbo adhibe.
Don't you go all bossy on me, clever clogs. You will act justly, but your justice will blind you and become his demise. This calls for the gentle hand of a surgeon. Step aside, both of you.
Your gentle hands are used to killing, not giving life. You will inevitably do harm. As for Brainy, he has no regard for casualties at all. Neither of you knows compassion.
Yes, it seems unlikely that we'll get along well, but there's only one truth.
Any choice is right as long as it's willed. That's the truth of the matter.
Only the heart will show you the right choice. Stop thinking about yourselves. Think of the sick. He's in pain. I can't see it yet, but I can feel it.
It's not even a trap. It's a grave. Subipsum funisumus. Can't say I hold a soft spot for it.
I can see that. You're full of hate. Stuffed or not, it's breathing. I can hear it. It can be healed rather than killed.
You mean you won't become a killer? But you will. Mark my word, that's exactly what will happen. But I can avoid it.
No, we won't ever get along. I suggest we be on our way. The sooner the better.
Off we go then?
Let's go. The clock is ticking.
Okay.
Alright.
I can see why you love this.
If you're feeling confused, don't worry. I have beaten this once. I'm halfway through the second time, and I still only vaguely get some of what's going on in this opening scene. The game itself is described in the, I believe, Russian manual as not so much a game as a experiment, a simulation device to better understand and prepare for emergency situations involving plagues. It's also framed very heavily, as we will see throughout the course of the playthrough, around the idea of a play.
I was getting that from the fact that we're obviously in a theater of some sort right now.
And then the introduction before all this was several children miming the idea of a funeral.
Well, they also were talking about the being that they are currently inside being stuffed, which suggests that we are, in fact, inside the simulation of the sick person.
Okay, so the three people on stage there were the three main characters and the three scenarios. As opposed to other titles that have just one character or a choose your own, you've got three distinct characters. They are actual people in the storyline with different events, different motivations, different characters that play an important role. You can play through them as you will.
Okay.
The first one is The Bachelor, Daniil Dankovsky. His name might change a little based on which translation we're using. He is recommended to be your first time playthrough, and he is what we will be playing today.
Okay.
He's the doctor, he's the man of science and medicine, he's the newcomer to this town, and in many ways he corresponds most closely to the classic Western, read British and American, scientific approach to modern life.
Okay.
The second character, who is in the back, is the horror specs.
This is what you're currently playing through on your other save, right?
So he is the surgeon slash shaman-esque character from the actual town, the steppe itself, returning to the city. So he correlates much more closely to the romantic movement style of the Enlightenment, where we're still making advances, but it's in a much more mystical fashion.
Okay.
He will carve up a body, but see it much more as a rite, as opposed to a scientific process like the Bachelor will. And then the final one, the Changeling. She's just straight out weird. We're not quite sure if she's an angel, or a demon, or both. She's weird. Each one has different abilities, different things they bring to the table, and as we see, different scenarios. We'll start with the Bachelor. We're just going to do his playthrough, because to go through all three would be way too much. In the Horror Specs' campaign, for instance, you start off, you come back to town, and you're immediately framed for a murder.
Oh boy.
So you get back, and you're attacked by a bunch of thugs. You start off, your reputation is garbage, everybody hates you, will attack you on sight, you have no money, no food, nothing. Good luck. The Bachelor, you're a well-respected gentleman. So you're coming to town, everything's going to go well. One of the reasons why it's recommended you start here.
Okay.
So I'll go ahead and read his little introduction. The history of humanity witnessed a number of catastrophes that have demonstrated, without a shadow of doubt, the pettiness of human achievement and the triumph of the invincible evil. Outbreaks of infectious diseases that have from time to time wiped towns and cities off the map are undoubtedly among these. However smart and virtuous, the people caught up in these destructive events have repeatedly come to the conclusion that it's no use trying to fight these circumstances. The best you can do is bite the bullet and cope with your losses. This is the story of a person who has managed to work a miracle and defeat a seemingly unvanquishable foe.
Okay.
One more cutscene.
Daniil Dankovsky, a Bachelor of Medicine, was brought here by circumstances most unfortunate. Dankovsky's life work, his theory challenging the existing notions of human mortality, is being harshly persecuted by the powers that be. Suddenly, a letter arrives from a colleague suggesting that there is previous undiscovered evidence which may support Dankovsky's claims. There is a settlement, the letter says, ruled by an extraordinary man who may well be seen as objective proof of Dankovsky's daring hypothesis. Grasping at straws of hope, Dankovsky decides to follow what he believes to be the sign of divine providence. Without further ado, he sets off for the settlement. Late at night, Bachelor arrives in the town. As he seeks room and board, he gets to know a girl called Eva Yan and stays at her place till dawn.
Well.
They call him Bachelor, you know.
But that's not his name.
This is admittedly an old game, but even when it came out, the graphics were horrendous, to say the least.
It reminds me of Siberia.
A little bit, yeah.
Okay.
I believe the first time I saw this cutscene, I was laughing the entire time.
Yeah, I'm really trying to contain myself, because, like, what is even happening? Ooh! Like, seriously? So, are we doing, like, a poor graphic version of the Heavy Rain intro now, where it's just people's faces?
A little bit.
Yeah,
A little bit.
yeah. I mean, he's handsome?
I mean, if we take into account this is from the history of Russian existentialist literature.
Oh my.
Yeah, he's probably considered handsome.
True, true. So, I like that outfit.
Oh no, Eve's outfit is ridiculous. As is Eve, as we shall very shortly see.
I'm enjoying all the little drawings and stuff in the loading screens. Those are nice.
Oh, one of the main things it gets by on is its sense of atmosphere. Mm-hmm. Even though the graphics are terrible, it has a very distinct visual style, which I completely fell head over heels for.
Okay.
Alright, so here's our main mission. As of today, my mission remains obscure. The examination of Simon Kane, who is rumored to be a man of incredible longevity, may shake the very foundation of modern thanatology and challenge the existent notions of death itself. However, even if this underlying Leviathan...
Undying, darling.
Pardon me?
That's kind of important.
Yeah, it is. However, even if this undying Leviathan proves to be more than a fairy tale, the mere confirmation of his existence won't suffice to prevent the powers that be from shutting our laboratory down. I need to figure out the most fruitful approach. Simon is a well-respected man, and if he mistakes my interest for effrontery, it would be nigh impossible to convince him to help me break new ground in the field of human vitality.
Okay, so interesting.
The Bachelor's entire goal, his foundation off in the big city, is examining human mortality, and he postulates that it is in fact a myth, that we can live forever. He's been brought to this town by word that one of the leading members, Simon Kane mentioned here, has in fact been immortal.
Is there a reason why his name is Kane then?
Perhaps. We'll see shortly. Alright, so we haven't gotten today's quest yet, and we don't have any other tasks. Day 1, by the end of which the Bachelor finds himself battling a truly unvanquishable foe.
Oh boy.
So those little symbols we saw down in the left are various updates and items coming in. I believe one of them was for letters. Yes, there we go. So we got one from Isidore Barak. My dear Bachelor Denkovsky, it was most disconcerting to learn that the powers that be have the intention of shutting down the laboratory that owes its fame largely to your own research in the field of thanatology. Is it true that your detractors have branded your studies, quote, scientifically stillborn, end quote? Harsh.
Ooh.
Rejoice, Bachelor, for there is an observable case that would quell the obscurants that reject the research of death, aging, and necrosis as a subject that lacks academic viability. This case, were you to document it, would go a long way towards restoring your reputation as a scholar. The subject in question is Simon Kane, who has ruled the town where I live for as long as I can remember. The man's longevity transcends the boundaries of what is plausible. It is phenomenal, no less, and I struggle to give an explanation of it with the scientific means I have at my disposal. Make no delay, there is a sensational discovery to be made here, a breakthrough that will not only save your laboratory, but also revivify your studies and greatly increase your scientific renown. Your humble servant and faithful colleague, Isidore Barak. P.S. I spoke to Simon on your behalf, and he has kindly agreed to facilitate your effort. Daring ideas and far-fetched projects are traditionally very well respected in our neck of the woods.
That's not ominous at all.
Alright, nothing else at the moment. So, there's going to be a lot of reading.
Okay, well, we'll divvy it up a little as we get into it.
Yeah, we're going to need to.
You know, I've got my elderflower juice, so I can, you know, get my throat ready.
And here is the lovely room that Eve has provided us with for the night.
Well, I think this architecture is really weird.
Oh yeah, it is.
I like that there are very few actual corners. Oh my.
Yeah.
So what manga did they rip that out of?
Only the finest Russian mangas.
I'm having chest pain. I had a feeling you would come.
Okay, so the reason I didn't put subtitles on is because for the most part, everything is just written.
Okay.
They do have voiceovers, but it's like that, where it will just be something in the background as you actually read the conversation in the bottom.
Okay, so it's kind of like Oblivion then.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Do you want me to play her?
Go for it.
Okay. Did the sounds from outside wake you up, too? There was a terrible groan, and then something snapped loudly.
I fell asleep so quickly I didn't even notice. It's like I fainted. So what sounds are you talking about?
I think there are strangers in the backyard, by the pond. They're unlikely to be planning mischief, but I have a bad feeling about this. I'm afraid to go out to them. I hope they go away soon and stop disturbing our sleep.
Why do you think they aren't planning anything foul?
Our population is so thin, crime is basically non-existent, especially here in the Stone Yard. Sometimes there are pranks, of course. Fights happen occasionally. People are young here, so they often go out at night. But we're a tight community. And now I hear unfamiliar speech. That's not a good sound.
I'll go out and take a look, but I'm in a hurry. I must see this founding father of yours.
Are you willing to trade the company of a fascinated woman for that of a dreadful old man, even if he is a sorcerer? That's so sad. But Simon won't go anywhere. He is. He has always been. He always will be. Even if the moon were to fall to the ground, please, stay with me a little longer.
Simon is a sorcerer? Did I hear you right? Is that the secret of his longevity?
Are you in that much of a hurry? Do come round. The Canes are asleep now. Take your knockabout coat off. Have a rest in my bed. Let me warm your hands. You are so anxious to see Simon, as though your life depended on it.
My life, yes. Now that my laboratory is on the brink of destruction, my whole life's pursuit depends on that remarkable man. If he really managed to live that long, then his tissues will help me defeat death.
Death. So that's the enemy you've chosen for yourself. Isn't it hard? I don't think anyone has managed to defeat that evil yet.
Millions of doctors defeated it on certain singular occasions, but my enemy is more fearsome. It is death itself, rather than a singular case of death.
I don't understand.
I can barely understand it myself. Could death only seem inevitable to us, but in reality be nothing more than a whim of the will that had shaped this world? That is the question. So, where is the key to my victory?
It's not far. The Canes live at the Crucible, on Bridge Square. But could I please offer you a piece of advice?
Go on.
Simon has 2 younger brothers. The eldest of the 2, Grigori, is called the Judge by the locals. Visit him first. He isn't asleep. He'll teach you how to speak with Simon. The youngest of the 3 is Victor. His daughter Maria also wanted to see you. It's terribly important.
Was it she who knew about my arrival beforehand?
Yes, she told me about it privately. Talking to her is no simple task. Maria is that kind of person. She puts on airs, but that's just how the Canes are. It was Maria who told me that she would help you defeat death. That's the precise wording. What a coincidence.
All right. Thank you for the advice.
Go, and I'll prepare everything for your return. Do come back after you speak to the Canes. They will probably do a lot of things that will puzzle you and put you on your guard. I will have some advice that may be of help to you, if you need it.
Okay, how do you want us to play this? Do you want us to say, "Oh yeah, we'll come back," or it was a night"?
I don't know. I mean, she's kinda... I don't want to say easy, but I'm gonna say it. She's kinda easy.
Ouch.
I mean...
Wow.
He seems, from how he's characterized so far, as the kind of person who wouldn't necessarily mind making false promises.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say you're coming back to put her at ease.
Oh my gosh. Oh.
Is that the wrong decision?
No, you're breaking my heart. So I'm a good guy. So they set my character up, my first playthrough, as, "Oh yeah, you stay here one night and you can come back." I became utterly devoted.
You would.
So, just say, "Okay, I'll come back." So here's our first look at the town map.
Okay, interesting. I like the art style for the map.
Oh yeah. So we are down here in the Stone Yard. This is Evion's house. Mm-hmm. And the Canes are up here at these 3, the Crucible.
Okay.
So our main goal is the Red Hand, Simon. Mm-hmm. But first off, we've got to... not first off. The side quest is going to see Maria.
Right, but you also were told to go to the Judge first.
Right. So he is there. Yeah. That's Georgie or Gregory.
Grigori.
Grigori. Yeah. All right. So click out of there. All right.
Okay.
And then let me pull up. No. All right. Inventory. You'll note that we have a time. We've got some of our items. I'll go ahead equip that. Don't need gloves right now. We have a few drugs.
Oh boy.
A bottle of water. And some kerosene for a lamp.
Or for burning witches.
Oh, I wish. I wish. Oh goodness, it's been a while. No, nothing there. That won't be up yet. Journal? No.
I will say it is kind of interesting doing a playthrough of a game that you've played before. Because I've never done that when I've done game recording before. I usually avoid games that I've already played.
There it is. Okay. So, the main gameplay loop of this game is it's a dish spinner. It's keeping all of your bars going so that you don't die.
Okay, so like Reigns.
A little bit. I mean, obviously more complicated. So, you've seen already time. When I pulled it up on inventory, it was 6:21. Now it's 6:24. You have 12 days in game. That is the length of the game. Anything you do not get done, there's no going back.
Okay.
You've got reputation, which impacts how people react to you. Health, obviously. Immunity to any sickness. Hunger, exhaustion, and infection. It's keeping all of these together and running here and there throughout the town. That will be most of our day today.
Okay.
We're right about at the 27-minute mark. I'm going to go ahead and call it here.
Are you sure? Because we can do longer if you want.
We can do longer, but as I've said, I've played through this before.
Okay.
Right now, before we get into the next big section, is a good place to stop.
Okay, sounds good.
We'll mark it here. Sorry for the very cutscene-heavy Canto, but I'm pretty excited to get going on this.
All right, and I'm really curious to see where this goes. So I hope you guys will enjoy exploring this along with me with our philosophical tour guide of this area of purgatory.
Oh, prepare for suffering, guys.
Oh,
Next
boy.
time.